Bright side, we've got some army experience. Yeah, that's true. Abdülmecid II has announced the cowardly Azirian nation could no longer withstand the pressure from the overwhelming presence of Ottoman forces. Yeah, sorry Aziria, you don't get to massacre anyone anymore. 1 day left. Trouble in Euphrates. Alright, that's that thing. What was the other decision that we now have access to? Established through the Basra Accords in 1920, the Azirian community was granted special status in the Vilayet of Basra, serving as the conductor for British influence in the entire Persian Gulf. They were able to prosper and slowly but surely build a new life far away from their homeland to the plains of Nineveh. This status, however, is not liked by all, as the government in Constantinople has desperately been trying to abolish it for years now. With tensions rising across the globe and the Azirian question once again coming to the forefront of Ottoman politics in Iraq, some are pushing for a direct resolution to the issue and immediate abolition of the zone, restoring the region to full authority of the Baghdadi Wali. Which I would definitely do. You have lost your rights to independence. It looks like that happened. Come on. Actually, let's do a quick save. Just in case. Seeing as we're about to tag switch. We are now the Sublime Ottoman Federation. Declaration of the Sublime Ottoman Federation. Celebrations were held in Constantinople today as the Ottoman Chamber of Deputies officially proclaimed the creation of a new federal state within the lands of the Ottoman Empire. The Sublime Ottoman Federation, whose name was inspired by the imperial grandeur of old, is based on the ideas of Prince Shabatin and foreign influences from German, Austrian and American models alike. Although the new constitution shifts extensive powers to the level of the vilayets, the provinces, many wonder if this will truly mean that democracy is just a confirmation of the old aristocracy and the age-old positions. The Ottoman Empire turns a new page. Oh yeah, we do have a new flag. Cool. Now we can deal with the trouble of the Euphrates, because we don't care about the deputies until the election. So, do we want to keep him a Sunni with a secretary? So do we want to have the, I've forgotten the word. The thing where we go halfway, but don't go fully one way or the other. Do we go for the Sunni Turk to oversee them, which is purely the Islamic side, or do we say we're not going to interfere in local affairs, which keeps the Christian as the chairman? Compromise, thank you. I don't know why I forgot that one. Failure of English language modules, clearly. Alright, so trouble. Not going to spell out the whole thing. So, compromise. We can have Sunni Turk. We'll say Sunni oversight. Or we can say do not interfere, which is keeping the Christian in charge. So, get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Should we compromise? Should we go with the Sunnis? Or should we say the Christian can stay in charge and it's more of a local issue, not related to us? Bearing in mind, we have just declared a federation. Get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Oh, this is an interesting one. Surprisingly close. Very close. Okay. So, Sunni Oversight just lost with 8% of the vote. However, there was 47% versus 45% with a difference of 2 votes coming in there. Jack the Ripper contributed 23,000 channel points, so really going all in on one of the options. So one of them, 47 versus 45. Compromise did not get the 47. Compromise got the 45%, meaning do not interfere. Has won here. Do not interfere in local affairs. So 15 of the independents join us, but we lose 30 conservatives, 10 Arab nationalists, and 10 Turkish nationalists. basically for a swing of 45. No, 35. Yeah, 35. And unrest increases Mosul, Baghdad, Basra, Kirkuk, Sivas, and Erzurum. And then we have the organisation of the armed forces. With the decentralisation of the empire well underway, a question has arisen as to what to befall the Ottoman army. Turkish decentralists firmly oppose dividing it into smaller parts because they claim it would reduce the striking potential and would complicate affairs in times of war. Furthermore, it would lead to a different training standards, linguistic difficulties between the various regiments, and possibly even the creation of warlord-esque situation, should one of the constituents decide it's had enough of Ottoman rule. Arab decentralists, on the other hand, complain about the strongly Turkified upper crust of the officer corps and the inability of the Arab soldiers to serve solely in Arab provinces under Arab commanders. Furthermore, they are afraid that should the army retain a centralised affair, the Turks would be able to use it to repress civilian discontent with the government, and that a powerful Turkish general, such as Fevzi Pasha, could use this to enforce a military dictatorship and revert the changes made. So it is vital that the army remains intact, or the army should be decentralised. Interesting. Do we want to go with a state-led military? Perhaps with the ability to raise militias in times of conflict? Or should we go for a centralised, strong federal force, which is a more unified command, but does run the risk of being used for nefarious purposes? I'm actually going to give this 2 minutes, because I think this is a very interesting question. So get your votes in. Should armies be organised on a regional level, or at a central level, federal level? States or federal? So get your votes in. Vote, vote, vote. Yevturi, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime subscription. Welcome to the Maudlings. Good to have you joining us. Thank you for that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Since when has giving arms to states ever backfired? I know, right? How are the civil wars going in the meantime? So CNTFAI is now definitely pushing in, although they've still not taken Bilbao, but they're only 2 provinces away from Burgos. Well, 1 away. However, Madrid, they've pushed us back here, but we still have an adjacency to Madrid, and the fighting there is clearly quite fierce. The kingdom is pushing into the CNTFAI, whereas the Carlists are actually pushing quite deep into kingdom territory, so still all to play for. Meanwhile, over here, the PSA is pushing quite deeply into the AUS, seeing as the AUS is now having to fight a war on 2 fronts, because it is just the PSA versus AUS and then CSA versus AUS. These 2 are not fighting at all, so they're able to put their entire force on just 1 frontier. Bit disappointed that the PSA never took the northern states, but definitely pushing across the Great Plains, making quite a lot of inroads here across, let's see, Kansas and Texas and Oklahoma. But the CSA is also recovering, like Chicago is under no threat anymore. New England, very solid. Pittsburgh, pretty solid. So CSA is growing in strength again. That's concerning, because the CSA, if they get going, is a problem. Okay, so Maharo has contributed 28,000 channel points. Thank you very much for that. Decentralized army. This is a really close one as well. Wow. When I was first looking, it was like 80% to 20%. It was like, I don't know why I gave this 2 minutes, but apparently it was a good idea to give it 2 minutes. Because the decentralized army actually managed to get 48% of the vote, pulling back from, like I said, 20%. However, the army remaining intact has managed to hedge it just with 52%. So we're going to keep the army intact. That border gore in South America, yeah, it's because Chile and Patagonia is fighting against Argentina. Alright, new national focus. So we have now finished the Sublime Federation. So now we could renovate the Sublime Port. Which will strengthen... Oh, this is a free conscription law. We can only do that if 249 support. So I think we're probably not going to do very much with the deputies until the election now. Although admittedly it's going to be really freaking hard to keep that high, seeing how many tax breaks we've had to give out. We may well want to spend the short term increasing taxes. Because it always costs 10 political power to decrease taxes, but the bigger places give you more back. We can also start working on our industry, or the army. We could get our camel divisions going. You know what? We've waited this long. I think it's actually a very good idea to get the camels going. There's actually deputies available over here. That's interesting. And also losing deputies. Freaking conservatives. You're changing things? No! Wah! Ottoman army. The Ottoman army is the heart of the Turkish nation. We must seek to strengthen and support it against the numerous enemies, for the survival of the state depends upon the ever-triumphant horde. For the horde! Oh, the Austrians are actually making a breakthrough here in the north. Serbia's losing ground to the Austrians. That's unexpected. Oh, what's probably happened here is the Hungarians have tried to spread troops out to the other frontiers rather than these guys supporting the Hungarians. Yeah. That's not good. Conflict in Aintab. The recent decision of the government to revise the seized properties of the Armenian citizens during the Welsh Creeks caused quite a stir in the city of Aintab, as protests and riots by the Muslim population of the city against these plans have started to escalate once more. As these properties have by now often passed through many hands, and with some even converted to industrial sites, the Turks are fighting tooth and... No. Bugger off. Armenians. You're welcome. We're actually getting through the construction here pretty quickly. Which is good. Oh no, we just lost Basra's infrastructure. Alright, fine. Maybe we need a Mordred awesome emote. Well, Iran still hasn't done anything against us. We can probably go back up to speed 4 at this point. Possibly even speed 5. Oh, we have another... Sand Surfer. And we can start you training again. And we do have army experience. Mysore declared war on the Princely Federation. That's a civil war. I could bring in the field hospital instead of the MPs. I quite like that idea. Do it. Do it. Do it now! And the other thing I am very tempted to do... no, we don't have the artillery for it. Was change the infantry divisions into the artillery divisions. So they could have a bit more bang for their bucks. Do armoured cars count as tanks or motorized? Motorized. Good. So what I could do is replace this cavalry with an armoured car, and that would give us some armour. And also a bit more breakthrough. I like that idea. It's a good idea. And what are your orders at the moment? You don't currently have any. Well, what I'm going to say is you line up down here and get ready to take these deserty areas. Reversing secularization. Although the ideas the HIF and Prince Sabahaddin have in particular were not in sectarian nature, the fears of the OHF seem to be coming true, as the increased participation of the lower classes in the Ottoman politics has left the state particularly vulnerable to a steady rise of the Islamist flank. Supported by the powerful Sufi orders such as the Naqshbandi and the clique around Shabik Arslan, has seen its power in the Ottoman parliament grow tremendously to the great concern of the non-Sunni groups. Whilst the presence of religion in politics is not directly a cause for concern, this would also envisioned by Sabahaddin. Various minority groups are fearful that Arslan is going to ride a wave of Sunni populism and dismantle the system we have so painstakingly built up. Most concerning. We're down to just 42% control. We were at like 52 at one point. And we really need to not spend political power on anything else. Now, we're gonna need to get our deputies back up. Waiting for someone else to attack the Ottomans while the entire army is parked on the Persian border. I mean, we have troops over here and troops over here. The real border that we don't have is with Egypt, and that's mostly because this is neutral. It's a DMZ. So the only ones that could really attack us by surprise would be Najd. Yemen's a minion. And then Georgia and Azerbaijan. Georgia would be the only other one. As far as I'm aware, we have decent relations with the Georgians. Yeah. Well, neutral. New technology. So that was the end of, like, concentrated industry, I think. So we'll go for fuel refining so that we can maintain our air force. We should probably also start getting an air doctrine. And, you know, start building some zoom zooms. Do the Ottomans have any oil in Kaiserreich? Yeah, we do. Baghdad has some. Well, the area just north. And also Kuwait. We have 33 extracted. It's not a huge amount, but it's sufficient for our purposes. What's Russia been up to? Russia doesn't do anything anymore until the Second World Krieg, at which point they go and attack Germany and generally ruin the Second World War. Did I mention I don't like the Russia at the moment? I think I may have mentioned that I really don't like Russia at the moment. I liked when there was a Russian civil war because it was another, again, it was another battleground for the different factions. And it was very much in Germany's interest to keep that war either going or win it. And that was a good thing. Oh, Madrid's getting more... Oh, you know what? We're at peace. Send the volunteers once again. So we'll go with one of the units with a bit more experience, like you. No, other way around. All of you, except for you. You know what? What are our mountaineer units actually like? Combat with 12. Yeah, nothing very special. Mountaineers to Spain, definitely. 100% we're sending that. And I think we're still going to send camels to the American front, although the camels have definitely proven themselves to be less useful, although we're pushing into Texas, which I think is... Desert or steppe? Nice plains. It's still open ground, though. We still have the movement bonuses. Actually, these would be kind of useful in Texas. Yep, we're going to prepare the Ottoman camel forces for war in Texas. Actually, if the PSA gets Texas, then it's game over. PSA is really starting to make inroads against the AUS at this point. Like, even if the CSA takes, like, this, That is a lot of industry, though. I think Texas is the true swing state. He who has Texas wins the war. So many resources and so many factories and so much population there. Do not underestimate the power of the AI to simply fail somehow. Oh, yeah, I'm... yeah, I'm well aware of that one. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab all of you, except for you, put you in a new unit, stop you training, start you training. You don't need to train. And then we are going to go here, send volunteers, air volunteers, and Faretin. Send. Okay, they've both accepted. Do you have an airbase nearby? You do! And I can send you 23 planes. Do we have an air wing with 23 aircraft? What's most badly needed? You need fighters. Carlists definitely need fighters. I'm going to say the PSA actually needs bombers. So 23 of our most awesome bombers are going to head on over here. Oh, right. Need to disband some of these guys. Let's disband the ones who don't have any experience, first of all. And then this tactical bomber wing can go down to 23, and at that point I think I can just go, hey, you should totally fly over here. In fact, I did that wrong. I should just say, hey, you should totally fly over here. And there we go, they're, hey, totally flying over there now. And you can support in Texas. And then we need a small air wing of 23 planes, namely this guy, to fly here, here. Cool. Protests escalate in Jerusalem, called on by the local Arab notables and leaders. A mass protest was held in the city of Jerusalem earlier today to pressure the council into the closure of the Jewish Immigration Office, which recently expanded its operations. What started as a peaceful protest quickly escalated after the gendarmerie forces started cracking down on some of the leaders. In response, the protesters started throwing stones at the windows of the foreign businesses and assaulted foreign nationals in the streets of the city. Eventually, the authorities were able to subdue the protests before further violence could spread, but the resources spread thin. The action has scared the International Council that the situation may be far more explosive than they initially thought. This is an affront to our Muslim brothers. Oh, dear. Guatemala has joined the People's Vanguard. Oh, you just lost another province around Madrid. Drat. Ottoman army, done. So now we're going to incorporate the army modernization, which is going to give us a couple of extra military factories, which we could really do with. So we'll definitely grab those. And then we can get the specialized desert regiments, which will be awesome. Mauser rifles and bayonets proved effective in the Welt Creek, but the battlefield is changing. The large gap between the enemy technology and our equipment is ever expanding, and we must extend considerable effort if we want our army to retain its might. Oh, we're volunteering in the PSA. We are currently sending troops over there, yes. The Spanish Civil War seems grumpy. It's always grumpy. Anti-Zionist protests in Baghdad, organized by students from Baghdad Law College and Iraqi groups such as the Young Muslim Society, protests are rocking the capital of the Iraqi region. They're expressing their outrage towards the increasing Zionist settlement to the MOJ and calling on all Muslims in the empire to protect their Palestinian brethren from this threat. So right now, riot chance is really low because we've finished our political path. But without actually being able to centralize and core everything, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to stop those riots. They're just going to get worse and worse. Because there's no way of, like, decreasing instability. Except by reducing authority. And I can never increase authority, ever. And our house support is just dropping like a bomb. Yeah, well, all we can do is try and gain political power. Trouble in the armed forces. With decentralization fully underway, trouble seems to be brewing amongst the Turkish officers who fear that, by conceding so much power to the minorities, the integrity and defensibility of the empire becomes problematic. Convinced there are fifth columns within many of these groups, notably the Armenians, Greeks, Azirians and Shiites, they're trying to push back against the reforms and bring control back into the hand of the Turks. Inspired by Turkish nationalist thought, they see the plans of the Grand Vizier as a direct threat to the Turkish people, and are less than amused by his attempts to restrict their influence on both politics and the various security organizations. Conversing with many ex-generals and shifting around various divisions and officers, trouble seems to be brewing that, should the situation escalate, it may lead rather soon to a military coup. Most troubling. Saudis encroach on Al-Buraimi Oasis. Placed on the border between Muscat and the former Trukel states, ownership over the oasis has been contested. Yeah, right, we didn't decentralize the army. I think it's just general decentralization. But no, you're right, we didn't decentralize. There are some consolidate the ex-Viliets focuses after you defeat the Kaiserreich. They may let you take full control and reduce unrest. Ah, okay. Placed on the border between Muscat and the former Trukel states, ownership of the oasis has been a contested affair for many generations between the sultans of Muscat and the emirs further north. With the conquest of the latter by Ibn Saud, he has taken over these old claims and is using them for his own machinations. It is no secret, however, that Ibn Saud is not planning to stop his advance after taking the oasis, and by claiming that they were once part of a great Wahhabist state, he will surely not stop until the city of Muscat is ablaze and the vile Ikhwan has slaughtered all that oppose him. As further expansion of the Saudis and the collapse of the friendly Arab government would greatly harm Ottoman interest in the area, the Wali in Basra and Baghdad has requested assistance from the central government so he can defend the sovereignty of the Sultanate of Muscat. Which right now is independent of us. So we can offer them our assistance, or we can say, we have our own frickin' problems, dude. So what do we think? Should we assist Oman in countering the emerging Saudi threat? Or we need to focus on more worrying threats. This will be a 1-minute vote. And go! Get your votes in! Vote, vote, vote! Army is OHF aligned. They're not happy about the general federalization as well. Yeah, I suspect that's the real basis of that argument. Oh, resistance is actually down a lot. We can do civilian oversight, and Basra is the last place that's still resisting. Everywhere else is quite happy with Ottoman rule. Wow, that was quite overwhelming. So United Central Region UCR contributed 1,000 channel points. Thank you very much for that. 6% of you say that we have more worrying threats, but a whopping 94 are saying that we should offer the Omanis our assistance. So we will do that, which has dropped our war support significantly, so now we can't go up in mobilization, which is probably a good thing, because I need to save that political power. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I do hope you're enjoying this. If you are, be sure to hit that follow button so you get notifications when I'm live again in the future. If you're really enjoying this, then please do consider subscribing. It helps the channel out and lets me do more of this kind of content. If you would like to see more Kaiserreich in the future, then you should definitely return tomorrow, where there is a multiplayer game between the Hearts of Iron 4 Community Discord versus the Kaiserreich Weekly Community Discord, and it is Kaiserreich this time, starting tomorrow, 5 PM GMT. I keep wanting to say BST, but it's not BST anymore. That is going to continue on Sunday, same time, 5 PM GMT. hope to see you guys joining us for that. If you would like to see more of this kind of content, you can find that over on my YubTubs, which you can find at yubtub.com/MordredViking. I do have a Discord, which is where the community hangs out. They're a cool bunch, and it's always a real pleasure to see some new faces come in to join us. So come along, say hello. You'd be more than welcome. I'm just going to go and see who else is streaming at the moment. Kotuk Bus and Azul as 1346. Thank you very much for the follows. Welcome to the channel. Yes, we can raid Sir Squire. Oh, he's doing the beginner friendly game. Yeah, we should definitely raid Squire. Alright, so head on over to Sir Squire, where you absolutely should not follow. Absolutely do not follow his channel. You don't want to see what he does. It is terrible, it is horrible, and you definitely don't want to follow when you arrive there. So, let's instead head over and make this a proper Viking raid. I would love to see his chat lit up with the Viking raid, which you can do by copying and pasting Viking raid just like that. Or if you are a subscriber and have access to our wondrous longships, then you can copy and paste that second one instead. That's it for me for now. I'll be back again 5 PM tomorrow GMT. Until then, goodbye.